Hello, I'm Hope Medina with Colorado Code Consulting and the co-chair of the Sustainability Membership Council. Climate change has affected all of us and has created a host of problems for all of us that we must acknowledge and address. For an example, there's an increase in the global surface temperature. Their oceans are warming and they're rising. The polar caps are disappearing and extreme weather conditions and weather events are happening. How do these global events impact our communities? How do the modern building codes help us with this? The building codes are not going to bring rain to drought locations or bring water back into the water tables. But let's focus today on how water has become a commodity and deserves our attention to protect it. How can the codes assist with the protection of this particular commodity? So let's take a look at Victoria Falls. Victoria Falls is one of the wonders of the world. It happens to border on Zambia and Zimbabwe. And just like in many parts of the world, Africa has been experiencing drought conditions. And the Victoria Falls has also been affected by these drought conditions. Now, while the flow of the falls are seasonal, with the falls being stronger in certain seasons than they are in others, recently the falls have been seen as a trickle in certain locations and non-existent in others altogether. This natural wonder is a location that many tourists want to come and see, and this situation may impact the income from this tourism. It also affects the Zambezi River ability to produce hydroelectricity. How can the modern codes help this situation? Well, if the structures that are fed with its electricity were built with the energy code and installed a good thermal envelope and sized the mechanical equipment, the structures will use less electricity and energy to condition the structure. Now, climate change is also causing the sea levels to rise, and one of the locations strongly affected by this event is Kiribati, a nation of 30 islands. The rising water has affected their ability to grow their own food for their population. Their government, being proactive, bought 5,460 acres of land in Fiji so that they can produce food for their country. The island also understands that their existence as a nation is counting down. They are in discussion with the government of New Zealand to provide for their 100,000 population a place to migrate to. And they're not the only nation struggling with how to deal with rising seas. The United States coastlines are grappling with this same issue. The East Coast is facing this realization today. Miami has raised the height of their streets to combat the sunshine flooding. What will happen to these areas? It is said that Delaware will be the first state to join the United States of America and maybe the first state flooded out of the United States of America. So what are the effects to our population? How does this affect the communities? Just like with the Kiribati Nation, these areas that are flooded or completely underwater, their population is going to need to find a new place to reside. This shift of residency may become a burden on already stressed and limited resources. How can the modern codes help alleviate these concerns and these problems and help the situation? First, many areas are already struggling to supply clean, safe water for their residents. What can they do when their population doubles? The plumbing code has the ability to provide guidance for utilizing gray water systems. Let's use the water that would just go down the drain for other usage. The IGCC has provisions that improve upon the International Plumbing Code's plumbing fixture flow rates and flush volumes. It also includes water usage provisions for appliances and commercial operations. The IGCC is a code that looks outside of the building for requirements by providing requirements for irrigation systems and water features. The National Green Building Standard, which is a standard utilized for residential buildings, has similar water usage requirements as what you would find in the IGCC. The ICC also has a standard for rainwater harvesting that can be utilized so that you can augment the water supply for various usage. The International Energy Conservation Code has provisions for the placement of water heating equipment to fixtures. This will alleviate water going down the drain when waiting for the hot water to reach the plumbing fixtures. The IECC will be paramount when new housing is built to house the increased population. Again, by installing a good thermal envelope and sizing the mechanical equipment, we conserve the amount of energy a structure will use. Join us tomorrow for the next edition in the Sustainability Membership Council's video series, Voices from Building Safety Month.